Hello, it's Matt Linklater here. I want to give you the 10 commandments for success. I want to give you 10 things that'll help you to have more success right now and start helping you accomplish your goals. Now, these 10 things are so important that each one of them could be a standalone idea and standalone thought. So here's what they are. Number one is you have to create a vision. I can't begin to tell you how many people just don't have a vision for their life. I went to a top money manager about 5 years ago, and I sat down with him and I said, what's your 1 year goal, your 2, 3, 4, 5 year plan? And they said, we really don't have one. So do you see, if you don't have a vivid vision, you don't know where you're going to go. And believe it or not, you all have a vision, but it might not be ultimately where you want to go positively. You might have a vision that's clouded with fear, a vision that's clouded of where you don't want to go. And you're going to go wherever your vision is. If it's not where you want to go or if it's where you want to go, you're going to get there. So might as well have a well-defined vision that's positive, that ultimately creates that fulfilling life and picture for yourself. So whether you're in sales or it's a big dream that you have for your life, actually sit down and say, what do I want to accomplish, and have that vision. So if it's for the year, start thinking about what's that vision on December 31st? What do I want it to look like? If it's a vision for my life, what do I want my life to look like? You probably heard of vision boards, right? Do you have vision boards? What pictures are you putting around you? What kind of sites have you developed within your current vision that help you create that dream and that distinct vision for yourself? So whether you are a sales manager or whether you are a salesperson, ultimately people are going to be inspired by your vision and how well defined it is. The second thing is, do you believe it or not? How many people, have their sales goals and don't believe they're going to hit it? Over the years, I've had, 10, 20, 30, 40 different salespeople on my team, and most of them did not believe that they could hit their sales goal. Can you believe this? They gave us that sales goal. Can you believe that they increased it that much? So if you don't believe it, you're not going to accomplish it. So whether you remember those dreams from when you were 10 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old, 15 years old, whatever it is, the reason you given up on it is because you didn't believe. So you have to put yourself in the proper state each and every day. How do you make sure that you're in the state where you could run through a brick wall? Because if you believe it, you're going to keep running and keep pounding right into that brick wall. The third thing is you have to have focus. See, we only have a limited amount of focus. And so really what's the problem in America today is our phones. It is stealing our focus. Social media is stealing your focus. Every time you look at your phone, you're getting a hit of dopamine. You're thinking about what it's an emptyless drug because you're getting hit with that fear of what you're missing out on. And dopamine is what are you missing out on? And you're not missing out on anything. It's deterring your focus from ultimately what you want to accomplish. So you have to have just an insane amount of focus on ultimately what you want to do. Are you focused every day when you wake up? Are you focused every day when you eat breakfast? When you get to your office that day? Are you focused in on what you want to accomplish? Because you only have a certain amount of focus. You may have told you before that you could only focus in on 134 bits of information at a second, and people are looking to rob that 134 bits of information from the news, social media, and other people around you telling you about what's possible and what's not possible. So you have to have a complete obsessive focus. And the next thing is you have to take massive action. It's not enough just to do a little bit of action. So, I think back when I was a wholesaler and they used to give me, $150 million sales goals. You know what? I believed I could hit it, but what I focused in on is how do I have massive action? I thought about how do I have 25 meetings a week? How do I run 5 meetings Monday through Thursday and 3 meetings on Friday? And then I thought about how do I have 2 meetings during the week at night? So how do you have those 25 meetings and create massive action? How do you crush the phone? Become an internal to an external. I crushed the phone and made 3 times the phone calls of everybody else did. And so how do you create that massive action? Right now we're in the middle of an M&A strategy. We called every bank in the country. We called every mezzanine fund in the country. We called every private equity fund in the country to get the deals done. And so it's never enough. You have to create an unbelievable, massive amount of action. The next thing is you have to overload yourself. See, most of us are overwhelmed by doing mediocre tasks. So you have to overload yourself, you have to overload your mind, because you can accomplish so much more, you can learn so much more than you even think. So how do you overload yourself? Well, what you need to do is start thinking of, how do I have massive goals and short deadlines? Start with reading a book. So how do I take this book and get it done in one week? How do I take an online training course and condense the time and get it done in a very short period of time? My first book I wrote in 72 hours, because I knew that if I had a short deadline, there's a crazy amount of things that I can accomplish. You know, coal doesn't turn into a diamond without an immense amount of pressure. So overload yourself. Take on more than you think you could have, because you can do a lot more than you think you can. See, we all have what's called Parkinson's Law. And Parkinson's Law says this: no matter what we have to do, we stretch it into the time we have. So you're taking the little that you do, that we do, and stretching it into your time and saying you're busy. So overload your time and start scheduling things and really push for what you have and what you can do. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. See, most people think that if you're going to do something, you're going to accomplish a great vision, that you shouldn't have problems. You're going to have problems. The bigger the vision, the bigger the problems. The bigger the goal, the bigger the problems. You know how I know people can't be comfortable with being uncomfortable? Is I see so many people, and this is not causation, maybe it's correlation, but how many people, you look around your life, that go through something really, really tough in their life and then become sick because of it? I've seen people go through hard business times, and then they come out the other end sick. And it's not saying that you can't ever get sick. It's saying, do you have coping strategies to understand and be able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable? Because things are going to happen. The bigger the goals, the bigger the problems, and you have to be ready for that. So do you have mechanisms that you can keep pushing through, so you can go and keep beating at that brick wall? Because if you go through that brick wall 1,000 times, the 1,001st time is you're going to get through it. You have to have an obsessive amount of focus. You have to be obsessed with it, because if you're not obsessed with where you want to go, you're not going to get there. You're not going to go through the brick wall, like I just said. You have to burn the candle at both ends. I remember when I was in high school, my mom used to always say, you're going to make yourself sick, because I was getting up, I was going to school, I was going to practice, coming home, doing my homework, and working out. And so I was doing all this throughout the day. Every hour, every minute of my day was taken, and they used to call, and she used to say I was obsessed. It's the same thing now. It's how do you become obsessed with your business? How do you become so obsessed with your success that you're willing to do anything? And that's really what it's about, is an obsession. You know, we call obsession as addictions. Look, you should be addicted to work. You should be addicted to your vision. You should be addicted to your goal. You should be addicted to what you want to accomplish. The other thing is you have to be self-aware. And let me explain this story now. So the other day, I was sitting in a cafe, and a lady said, this is ladies talking, it's not me. So one of the ladies said, somebody, or one of her colleagues said that she wasn't being promoted because of gender bias. The other lady said, I didn't have the heart to turn to her and look at her and say, no, it's because you suck. And so I don't know what you're saying you don't have success for, but all it's because of you. You're at cause for your success. See, you can look at yourself and you can be self-aware, and here's 5 and 6 things you need to be self-aware about. You know, what kind of fear do you have? Is your fear warranted or unwarranted with what you're going through? I'm not going to go through fear. Fear is, you go back to default. You go back to comfort. You say it's not practical. That's fear. Do you have a certain amount of guilt? Do you feel guilty about money? People make decisions about money. I heard yesterday somebody say that they don't want to take another job because their job has flexibility with their kid, but they're complaining about money. So they turn money into a guilt thing. Do you have anger? Do you have unwarranted anger at the world? Do you have unwarranted anger at other people? Do you have unwarranted anger issues about money, about sales? Do you have hurt, unwarranted hurt? Do you have unwarranted hurt? Do you feel like you were hurt? Somebody hurt you, so now you can't do something. So if you have unwarranted hurt, anger, fear, guilt, how about sadness? If you have any of that in your life, you are not going to push through. So you have to identify your emotions and your self-awareness. See, we're in this society where everybody's worried about everybody's emotions right now. But emotions, 99% of them are unwarranted. They're unwarranted, and they're preventing you from getting the job done. They're preventing you from your dreams. They're preventing you from accomplishing accomplishing what you want. So I'm not saying not to care about other people's emotions. See, I'm very empathetic to my wife and my kids. I'm very empathetic if they're sick, but I'm not empathetic every day when they're just in a bad mood. And the same thing with you. You have to be self-aware of your emotions. Are they warranted or are they unwarranted? What are some of your beliefs and limiting beliefs? You have a limiting belief about your success, about money. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to be self-aware so you can understand, are you being warranted or unwarranted with your thoughts and with your feelings? You have to be never satisfied. It doesn't matter if you accomplish anything. There's no there and there. You have to be so unsatisfied that you have to understand that we overestimate what we can get done in a year and underestimate what we can get done in 5 years. I'm 40 years old. I feel like by 70 I want to start slowing down. So I have 30 years to accomplish everything I want to accomplish. It doesn't matter if I fail or succeed today. As long as I push hard and do the previous steps that I'm sharing with you, I'm going to get there. I have 30 years. So how do you kind of keep pushing and never become satisfied? Because there's no there and there. And then lastly, it's never stop. You can never ever stop. It's just kind of that constant beating your head against the wall, never stopping. It's never enough phone calls that you can make. It's never enough sales meetings that you can run. It's never enough. And it's never enough of studying. It's never enough of working on yourself. It's never enough of reading books. It's never enough of getting to the gym. It's never enough of spending time with your family. You know what's enough? Shut off the TV, put down your phone, and do what's going to make you successful. And don't ever stop. So those are the 10 things that I find will help you have more success immediately. But you have to be committed. You have to be obsessed. You have to have an obsessive focus. And do you believe it or not? It's all up to you.